Hey everyone, good morning. Happy Thursday. James Azar here with CyberHub Engage. Counting down the days until we head to San Francisco for RSA. So excited to see all of you there. We've got so much to talk about today. We've got a very, very special Friday wrap-up for you guys tomorrow. So make sure you tune in. We're trying a new format, so we're going to love to get some feedback for our new format of the Daily Cyber Briefing tomorrow. Let us know what you think as we try and keep innovating our content to give you the best cybersecurity content out there. And let's get into today, which is Thursday, February 20th, 2020. Today is 02/20/2020. Very cool. And here are our headlines. A Canadian government breach exposes citizens' data. Adobe releases an out-of-band patch for critical code execution vulnerabilities. The US and UK formally blame Russia for mass defacement of Georgian websites. And a ransomware wreaks havoc across all of Europe. And now for your daily cyber briefing, brought to you by our friends at Synopsys, who we will be partnering with at RSA. CyberHub Engage will be set up at Fogo de Chao with also our friends at with one other friend of ours for RSA. So stop by Fogo de Chao, say hi, come to the Synopsys booth, say hi to us there as well. We're going to be doing our daily cyber briefing live from the Synopsys booth on Wednesday morning. So you can come by there 10:30 Pacific Standard Time. Just as you're getting over your hangover, come by, hang out with us as we do our daily cyber briefing from the Synopsys booth on Tuesday. We'll be at Fogo de Chao on Synopsys booth on Wednesday, Fogo de Chao on Tuesday, and Fogo de Chao on Thursday. So come by, say hello, and just hang out. And now let's get into today's stories. Data breaches at Canadian government agencies exposed the personal information of approximately 144,000 citizens over a 2-year period, according to a report from the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. The breaches, which had been unreported, only came to light in January when Conservative MP Dean Allison demanded that the country's federal government produce a report for the Canadian House of Commons, according to the CBC report. The 800-page report contained details about agency breaches in 2018 and 2019. In the report, the government admitted that agencies responsible for national defense, healthcare, tax revenue, postal service, and immigration all sustained data breaches or accidentally exposed citizen data. The CBC, which is owned by the Canada's federal government, also sustained a breach. Many of these agencies failed to inform the Office of the Privacy Commissioner, the government report notes. Several officials told the CBC that this means the number of Canadian citizens affected by these breaches could be much larger. Vito Pilchi, a spokesperson for the Office of the Privacy Commissioner, said, "We have raised concerns about strong We have raised concerns about a strong indication of systematic underreporting of certain types of breaches across government." The new government report notes that the Canada Revenue Agency, which administers the country's tax law, sustained the most data breaches, with over 3,000 incidents that affected 60,000 Canadians between January 1st of 2018 to December 10th of 2019, according to the CBC report. Health Canada, which administers healthcare in Canada, had 122 breaches that affected nearly 24,000 citizens. The government report notes that at least some of the information exposed in the breaches may have been misused. For instance, a data breach that affected employment and social development Canada, which is responsible for social welfare program, led to data theft as well. Several spokespersons for the affected agencies cited human error as a major cause for these data breaches. For example, a breach at the Canada Revenue Agency occurred after a department employee accessed a hard drive containing personal information of nearly 12,000 individuals, the CBC reports. And in one breach at Health Canada, an employee accidentally received an email containing personal information. The news of numerous data breaches at government agencies comes despite Canada's effort to make breach reporting mandatory under the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Document Act. Under that regulation, any organizations that suffers certain types of data breaches is required to notify officials and alert victims as soon as feasible, according to the language in the Act. Polisi notes that Canada's Office of the Privacy Commissioner is working on amending the country's privacy law. He says in a statement, we believe there should be an explicit requirement for government institutions to report breaches of personal information to our office in a timely manner and to notify individuals in appropriate cases. In November of 2019, a year after the enactment of the privacy law, the nation's privacy commissioner reported that more than 28 million Canadians had their data exposed in the 12-month period. A very important note here to point out is there's a lot of breaches we don't hear about, a lot of them that may not fall under the guise of being able to report on. However, this kind of smells like a government cover-up of just the government saying we don't want to be held accountable for our failures. And if this happened in the States, this would have congressional hearings and Senate hearings, and the media would be having a field day with this. And quite interesting to the fact that the Canadian government has been covering up something where allegedly the Open and Free Society of Canada doesn't have this kind of stuff happen, and now it's been highlighted based on an investigation by a parliamentary minister in the Canadian government. Lots of work to do about transparency and about the rights of people to know. And that's a whole other story with a whole other episode of, do people really need to know the type of breach they suffer every time? I mean, we kind of all know our data is already out there, but do we need to know every time it's out there? Or should we adjust the way we notify people? And should we just adjust people's expectations about being notified about data breaches? That's also a point to take here as well. Now to another story where Adobe has released an out-of-schedule fix to resolve 2 vulnerabilities that may expose user systems to code execution attacks. On Wednesday, the software vendor released 2 separate security advisories describing the issues, warning that each bug is deemed critical, the highest severity score available. However, there is at present no evidence that vulnerabilities are being exploited in the wild. The first vulnerability, CVE 2020-23764, impacts Adobe Media Encoder versions 14.0 and earlier on the Microsoft Windows platform. The security flaw is an out-of-bounds write vulnerability that can be exploited for arbitrary code execution. Adobe has also resolved a second vulnerability, CVE 2020-37765, that impacts Adobe After Effects version 16.1.2 and earlier on Windows machines only. This bug too is an out-of-bounds write that may lead to arbitrary code execution. However, in this case, attacks can only take place in the context of the current user. Users of Adobe Media Encoder and After Effects should update their software builds immediately. The tech giant thanked researcher Francis Provencher alongside Matt Powell from the Trend Micro Zero Day Initiative for reporting the vulnerabilities. Adobe does not often release out-of-bound patches unless serious critical vulnerabilities are being or have the risk of being exploited in the wild. 2 standard monthly security releases have taken place so far this year. In January's patches, 9 bugs were resolved that included critical memory corruption issues in Adobe Illustrator CC 2019 that could be exploited also for arbitrary code execution, as well as sensitive information disclosure problems in the Adobe Experience Manager. This month's most recent patch release was far more robust. It resolved 35 critical vulnerabilities, including heap overflow problems, out-of-bounds write, use after free flaws, and privileged escalation bugs in software that, if exploited, the bugs could lead to code execution, arbitrary file system writes, memory leaks, and so much more. So for those using Adobe in their business, patch. Well, maybe make a song about patching. You know, I like that idea. We should make like a cool patching song, so we play it every time there's a patch report. If anyone here is an artist and wants to help, we'll gladly accept the help as well and give you all the credit for it too. And now to another story. The US and the UK governments have issued official statements today formally accusing Russia's military intelligence agency, the GRU, with carrying out a coordinated cyber attack on thousands of Georgian websites in October of 2019, something we reported on here at CyberHub Engage. The incident at the time, widely reported, was considered the largest cyber attack in the former Soviet country's history. According to a report in October of last year, unidentified hackers broke into at least one web hosting provider and defaced more than 15,000 websites with an image of former Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili with the text "I'll be back" overlaid on top. The former Georgian president was known for his fierce pro-Western agenda and is now a Ukrainian citizen after leaving Georgia in 2013, citing a political witch hunt on corruption charges. The messages were reported as appearing on sites for the Georgian government, courts, NGOs, news media, and local businesses. In some cases, the web host disruption also took down broadcasting services for some radio and TV stations as well. But while the attack and its aftermath was superficial and easily reversible, the mass defacement caused an endless stream of political tensions and discussions inside Georgia, primarily due to the use of Saakashvili's photo. These cyber attacks are part of Russia's long-running campaign of hostile and destabilizing activity against Georgia. This according to the UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab. The UK is clear that the GRU conducted these cyber attacks in an attempt to undermine Georgia's sovereignty, to sow discord and disrupt the lives of ordinary Georgian people. The United States calls on Russia to cease this behavior in Georgia and elsewhere. This according to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. The stability of cyberspace depends on the responsible behavior of nations, Pompeo also said. Today's statement's not the first time the US and UK and their allies have accused Russia's military intelligence apparatus of orchestrating cyber attacks against foreign governments. Previously, allies have called out Russia's GRU for cyber attacks such as Black Energy and Destroyer, NotPetya, and Bad Rabbit. The key aspect of this entire cyber attack that we all need to take away from it is the fact that they did this to sow discord, to create political tension, to make it seem like it was someone else doing this and not Russian, using internal politics to sow discord. They did something very, very similar in the 2016 elections here in the US, and they're going to continue to do this. And so one has to note that Russia is a force that's looking to essentially sow more discord, get people with more internal fightings in order to promote their foreign agenda. And we have to start taking the information that we see online at face value. This discord that's disrupting our society is a challenge, and it is the biggest challenge as we head into the 2020 presidential election here and elsewhere across the globe. So time for us to all go look at Russia and just give them the middle finger and tell them to mind their own goddamn business. And now to our final story of the day, where security experts have this week warned that Italian and Swiss businesses to be on guard as ongoing ransomware campaigns continue to target vulnerable systems in Europe. In Switzerland, the Reporting and Analysis Center for Information Assurances issued an alert for local firms claiming it has already been forced to deal with a dozen cases where SMEs and large organizations have had their systems encrypted. The attackers made ransom demands of several thousands of Swiss francs, in some cases even millions, it said. The Swiss franc is virtually 1 to 1 with the US dollar at the moment. A technical analysis of the incidents revealed that the IT security of the companies affected was often incomplete and the usual best practices were not fully observed. Furthermore, warnings from the authorities were not heeded. The best practices that firms have been ignoring include AV installations, RDP endpoint protection with two-factor authentication, regular offline backups and patching, network segmentation, and restricted user rights. It's unclear what strain of ransomware is targeting the business, but the center has urged victims not to pay up. If a ransom payment is nevertheless being considered, it should be noted that although systems and data may be decrypted, the underlying infection from malware such as Imitat or TrickBot will remain active. As a result, the attackers still have full access to the affected company's network and can, for example, reinstall ransomware and steal sensitive data from it. The news comes as security experts spotted a new campaign targeting Italian users with the Dharma ransomware variant. Hackers are this time using malicious spam to spread the ransomware alongside the data stealing Trojan, the Ursnif data stealing Trojan. The phishing email in question purports to contain an invoice from a client, but if the user clicks on a link in the body of the message, they'll be taken to a OneDrive page where an automatic malware download will begin. So for our friends in Italy and Switzerland, please pay attention. If you're a CISO or a cybersecurity practitioner and you have business interest in Italy and Switzerland, please take this brief message and notify your counterparts in those countries. Cybersecurity is a global responsibility, and even if we want to fight Russia's discord and disinformation, we still have to mind our P's and Q's. Two-factor authentication. Use an authenticator app. Don't even use your phone for SMS, and you'll increase your chances of reducing your attack surface. That's it for our daily cyber briefing today. We're so excited to see you guys all next week in San Francisco for RSA. It's going to be amazing. Come by. Let's have an espresso. Let's have a little bit of scotch. And let's talk cyber. We look forward to seeing you guys at the after parties. Make sure you follow us on Twitter for updates of where we will be. We'll be also broadcasting live on YouTube. So if you're listening and you're not subscribing to our YouTube channel, make sure you go now and subscribe to our YouTube channel and ring the bell when you subscribe to get notifications every time we go live from RSA. We've got so much great content, great CISOs coming on over the next few weeks also for our CISO Talk Saturday special. And tomorrow's daily cyber briefing Friday wrap up is going to have a very, very new format. So make sure you comment, give us some feedback, let us know what you think. We're so excited. We look forward to seeing you at Fogo de Chao and at the booth with Synopsys at RSA. Until then, folks, enjoy the rest of your day, and the weekend is just right around the corner, and stay cyber safe.